the older you get, the more morbid the style of humor becomes.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now.
Tobias, thank you so much for your time today, allowing me to take some time away from your drum set right there behind you. There's so much to talk about, so let's just get going straight away. The glorious return of Vomitory. Do you have I know this has been a long time coming, and you took your time to get this whole process to the way you wanted to, but we're here now as the album is coming out. What's the feeling that is going through you right now? Because this is a special release for you after being, away for quite some time. Is it like a finally we're here, or what's going on right now?
Well, it's very exciting, of course. It is a new start of the band, and it feels like that.
Yeah.
So, and we know that we have made a really good album, better than we actually hoped for.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're super excited to have this released and get out again and play shows everywhere.
Awesome. Now, I know from previous interviews and some of the press material that you really took your time to think about what we want to do and test the waters before committing to anything. But let's go into this album, because I agree with you. I think it's a very good album, and when I listen to it, I kind of have a similar feeling that I got with a very different band, Halloween, when they did their big return album recently, which I would describe as like, it kind of feels like a best-of album, but with all new songs. Do you see what I mean? Like, it kind of feels like you give us a bit of a platter of This Is Vomitory. It's all good, but it's all new songs. Does that feeling resonate with you?
Yeah, I totally get your point. And I actually like that Halloween album a lot. It's a great album.
There you go.
Yeah.
It is a good album. Did you guys start from scratch with this new album in mind, or everybody's been working, everybody's been writing? Did people bring some luggage to the rehearsal room, if you will? Can you help me understand how new these songs are?
They are, all of them more or less are like brand new. I had some riff to a couple of songs that I was working on previously. They were probably intended for my other band, mine and Erik's other band, Cut Up.
Yes.
That we started after we split up Vomitory in 2013. But I thought that stuff sounded so much Vomitory. I thought it was a shame to not use it for Vomitory, so I kept them aside for a while.
Yeah.
So that's probably the only old stuff that I know that we used. Everything else is like new and written for this album specifically.
Yeah. Okay. Now, in a previous interview that you did, you mentioned that one of your goals for this album was to have, to spend more time on the individual identity of songs and the choruses, and that there was a little bit more, maybe song centric. And I think you succeeded in that, because when for me, it's more like, I would say that this is definitely the Vomitory album with the best songs, where I can remember songs from this album, where with previous albums it's more like I remember albums, but maybe not necessarily like, oh, that specific piece from that song, what have you. So looking back, mission accomplished. You mentioned this album came out better than you thought, so I can imagine I'm talking to somebody that is quite happy right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The thing with the choruses, that was something that we talked about even before we started writing, and we agreed that we should focus more on this on this album, and yeah, we succeeded with that, and turned out really good, I think. And as you say, all the songs have very their own strong identity. That's something that we always strive for when we write. That even back in the days, but it turned out particularly well this time around.
There's a groove to this album. They're like, the songs really just take you forward. I wouldn't go as far as calling you death and roll or something like that, but
oh, please don't.
I won't. Don't worry. But there is, there is groove. There is melody in some songs more than others.
Yeah.
Anything that is there a particular influence that changed writing for Vomit? Because you mentioned, I was writing for Cut Up, and there were certain riffs that we were writing. It's like, this feels more like Vomitory, so we should use it for Vomitory. But as the whole team was working on this new record, like, were there, given this gap between the previous album, like, are there newer influences that have seeped into the band?
I think we are still pretty old school when it comes to influences. So the old essential bands are still there in our heads when we write. But sure, I think that for instance, Wolf Brigade is a kind of a new influence. I mean, we liked the band for many years, and as well as Driller Killer, another Swedish band. But those influences never really shined through before, but they certainly do in the song Raped, Strangled, Sodomized, Dead.
Do you see that, because obviously you stayed very active with Cut Up as well. Have you seen the crowd change? Like, I saw not too long ago Obituary and Cal Decapitation playing, and I saw also Morbid Angel play a couple of weeks ago. It's not that the crowd is all 50 years old. There's young people discovering this new music. How have you seen your audience change over the years?
Yeah, I mean, there was a gap from 2013 until 2019 when we got back together to play live again. And there was we were really happy to see that there are young death metal fans in the crowd. Yeah. So, and also a lot more women, which is really cool, and not women standing, in the far back. They're in the front row. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, not holding the car keys and waiting for the show to be done, but claiming their spot in the mosh pit as well. Which is awesome. Now, talking about kids or what have you, you mentioned already the song, what was it? Raped, Strangled, and
Sodomized,
Dead. When you are writing songs like that today, like, is that, like, in one way, like, your own teenager was a death metal fan in the late 80s, early 90s, like, being able through this career to keep that teenager alive and still, do stuff like that is awesome? Or is there at times like an element to you going like, I'm now basically a middle-aged man. It's kind of funny that I'm writing songs like that today. Like
No.
what's the feeling that
I think it's more like the teenager, and also the older you get, the more morbid the style of humor becomes. Erik who writes all our lyrics on this album, and I think it's getting sicker and sicker, and that's awesome.
Yeah. No, I think I remember from like the press release that gets sent out to people like me, some time ago. A a couple of times mentioned like, oh yeah, and it's, we get it. Erik gets inspiration from everywhere, and it's just every song is inspired by, could be a book, could be a movie. Like, it's almost like your team's like, don't worry about Erik. Like, he's not a psycho. He's just, he sees and reads fun stuff, and he wants to write a song about that. Is it that easy, or is there a much darker side to Erik that we might discover if we dig a little deeper in these lyrics?
Oh, I think he's a super nice guy. Everybody can vouch for that. But no, I think he just has a really dark sense of humor and a very vivid imagination when it comes to zombies and gore and splatter and ways of killing people.
Yeah.
Not literally, but
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so maybe not the lyrics, but then let's go into the artwork a bit, because fun artwork with a lot of elements to it. So we basically see from the back some sort of deranged serial killer working his or her way through, I think it's a he, through some victims, as one victim is running away to a church in the distance. It might be a little vague for people, but basically the killer is wearing a jacket with, on the back patch, the old logo of the band. So it seems like the killer is a fan of the band. That so much is clear. All the heads that were severed are in different states of mutilation, so it's not super clear who do these heads represent. Are they? At one point I thought it was the band members, but I'm not sure that is correct.
Well, it represents all heads, because all heads are going to roll. But there are actually a couple of heads that are based on band members.
There you go.
The artist took the freedom. It's pretty funny.
Let's go for a moment to Cut Up as well, because you mentioned it. That was your main focus in the last 2 years. Great reactions to the Cut Up music as well.
Yeah.
So, what's the plan now? Because I can only imagine. I think I remember an interview you did just before the band split up initially, where you basically said it's just been too tough to properly prioritize or balance a band life and a personal life and a professional life and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure that you went into this new chapter of the band with a lot of lessons learned over the years, and I can only imagine also some good conversations with everybody involved about like, hey, this is what we're doing. So what's the status now of Vomitory, and what's the impact of that on Cut Up?
Well, the status of Vomitory is that we are doing this like back in the day. We're not just doing this album and then we're done. We are back for I don't know for how long. It can be 10 years, can be 5 years, can be 2 years, it can be 15 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
But our plan is to keep writing new stuff and put it out and go out and play and have fun.
Yeah.
So, and when we made this decision to do this, which was made in around August 2021, me and Erik had a talk between the two of us regarding Cut Up. Since a couple of years ago, it's only me and Erik left in Cut Up. So, since we were going to get busy with Vomitory, we decided to put that band on hold for a while. So the band exists, but we're not doing anything right now.
Yeah.
So we will see what happens with it in the future.
Yeah, 100% focused on Vomitory right now.
Yeah.
Tobias, obviously there's a lot of excitement around this record, and there's a lot of people talking about it. I'm sure that you're sick of doing interviews, but at this point, this is going to be an important year for the band. A lot of things are going to happen. So for everybody watching this interview, obviously beyond the release of the album that's coming up, what should we, keep our eyes open for?
Well, whenever we're playing somewhere close, come and see us. That's the best thing I can say, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
of course, go buy the album, the physical album, and support us with buying some merch or whatever, and keep going to live shows, even if it's not Vomitory. Go to support the bands and support the scene. Go to the live shows when there's something around.
Tobias, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it, for
Thank
taking
you.
time in your evening and answering some of my questions. I wish you guys all the best with this really cool release, which I know will make a lot of Vomitory fans happy and will, create a lot of new fans for your band as well. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.